Tropical Storm Alberto forecast to develop in the next 24 hours, and it's been a very active weather day across our area. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. It's your weather world. We're your weather authority. Great to see you on this Tuesday afternoon. Coming up, all the newest information on potential tropical cyclone number 1. Forecast to still become a tropical storm by tomorrow. We'll look at the disturbance that is east of the Bahamas, and it has been a very wet and stormy day with some flooding rains through other portions of our area. I think this has been the most active weather day so far of 2024. So as we get this video started, the first thing I want to say is for all of our newer subscribers, and even for some of our subscribers since last year, we are bringing back our 24/7 weather live stream for the duration of the Tropical Storm Alberto event. So here's how you can find our weather live stream here at Meteo Mundo. Go back to our homepage here on YouTube, find the live tab, click on that, and then you'll see all the thumbnails of our previous live streams. Find that first one there, the potential tropical cyclone number 1 thumbnail, click on that, and what you're going to find is our weather system updating in real time. We're going to be streaming it 24/7 continuously through the Tropical Storm Alberto event. You're going to get live satellite data. You're going to get live radar data. You're going to get live wind data. The tropical track will update in real time as well. It'll be looping over the last 6 hours. I'll have that timestamp for you. So again, it's a great resource in between these video updates to jump on and check out the newest information. And it's not just going to be for our friends in the Gulf Coast states and Mexico. I'll have this zoomed in and out of all different areas across the Caribbean. So check in on that. Again, the 24/7 live stream here at Meteo Mundo coming back. So after you watch this videos, find it there in the live tab. Okay, let's get into it right now and what's happening on this Tuesday afternoon. And as we do so, again, thank you so much for liking this video. We'll start off with that beautiful high resolution visible satellite imagery here. Again, potential tropical cyclone number 1. Don't have a tropical storm yet because we do not have a well-defined center of circulation. You can see we're starting to wrap up some clouds around that, but the strongest winds are still far off to the northern side of this center. And it's going to be an elongated system. All the really nasty weather is going to be on the northern side. You can see the live wind gusts here over the last 6 hours where some of the oil platforms off of the Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas coast have had some nearly 50-mile-an-hour winds. I can actually put on the radar here as well. So let me do that. And we're starting to see that first squally weather move into portions of Louisiana and the Texas coastlines. And again, they're going to have some heavy rain. They're going to have some heavy wind. They're going to have the opportunity for some storm surge and some flooding issues. And we'll look at all of that as well. But again, very breezy conditions already. Now, the latest on PTC number 1, winds are 40 miles an hour, pressure's 999. It will continue to wrap up, and there's a possibility later tonight we get a tropical depression or overnight, and it's still forecast to become Alberto on Wednesday, tomorrow. Winds 45 miles an hour by tomorrow afternoon. A little bit later in the day, we get up to around 50-mile-an-hour winds. And then the official forecast for the Hurricane Center is for the center of Alberto to move into North Mexico very late on Wednesday night. But again, a lot of the rough weather is going to be along and north of the center of circulation with some of the higher storm surges, highest rainfall potential, and of course potential for flooding as well. That would include southwest Louisiana and portions of Texas. Now, currently already in effect here, we got a lot of different things that you imagine. We've got coastal flood warnings. We've got small craft advisories. It's all very area dependent and includes a lot of the, of course, Louisiana and all the Texas coastline. So check in with your local officials here. Now, the tropical storm warning that you see, that's for the nearshore and offshore waters, and that will be extended in time. The blue line, if you see that, that's the tropical storm warning from the Hurricane Center that goes from Port O'Connor, Texas, into North Mexico. That's the blue line that you see. But you can see all of the active flood watches here. So again, check in with the National Weather Service office in your area for all the newest information. I'm going to take that data off because it's just a little bit easier to see everything else. And again, there's your blue line, which represents the tropical storm warning from the Hurricane Center. That's the visible satellite imagery. Let's switch over to some of the water vapor imagery imagery. This is at the lower levels. And again, you can see that we're still pretty devoid of any thunderstorm activity right near the center of circulation. Huge blow up of storms there near the north coast of Mexico. And again, a flare up also well elongated. But the wind energy with this system is going to stay up to the north. That's why it's going to be most active. So let's talk about how that's going to break down looking at the European model wind speeds. These are in miles an hour, they're in gusts. We're going to get that 45, 50 mile an hour wind gusts here between now and at least Thursday for the Northwest Gulf. And then along the coastline, again, it's area dependent, but we could be pushing some 40, 45 mile an hour and higher winds, especially along the Texas coastline, maybe even southwest Louisiana. And obviously this is going to be an east to a southeast wind, and that's going to drive some water towards some of those coastal areas as well. So we are going to have the opportunity for some storm surge. So looking at that, this is from the National Hurricane Center. Storm surge forecast 1 to 3 feet from the Vermilion Cameron Parish line in Louisiana to Sabine Pass, and then south of there towards Sargent, you're looking at potentially a 2 to 4 foot peak storm surge that does include Galveston Bay, and then from Sargent south to the Rio Grande, it's 1 to 3 feet. But again, check in with your local officials, but this is the peak storm surge forecast from the National Hurricane Center, and so we're looking at 2 to 4 possible for places like the Galveston Bay, Texas area. I mentioned it yesterday. This may not be the only game in town. Take a look at the European model. You're going to see, first of all, this is what is more than likely going to be Alberto, again, moving into North Mexico tomorrow. But on the heels of that, another disturbance could develop in the southwest Gulf of Mexico over the weekend. So yes, on the heels of this one, we could get another disturbance in the same location for the weekend ahead. We'll be monitoring that, but it could be pretty crazy weather here in the southwest Gulf over the next week. So it's not just this being the only game in town. Let's go back over to the enhanced satellite imagery here, show you the viz. A couple other things I can show you guys real quickly here. First thing I want to look at is the forecast models. Okay, and actually it's easier to look at if I just take off the radar and the satellite data, at least for now. So just showing you that from our spaghetti plots, you guys know them as that, our forecast models, they are very much in agreement with where the Hurricane Center has the center of circulation moving in, and that's a landfall in northern Mexico late on Wednesday evening. Only a couple of the models are a little bit more to the north, but there's a pretty good agreement there as well. Can also show you the forecast wind radii. So I'm going to throw that on, and these are the areas in blue. These represent the potential 34 knot and higher winds associated with PTC1 / more than likely Tropical Storm Alberto. And again, notice how elongated of a system this is. Most of the wind and the heaviest rain and the potential for the highest storm surge is going to be on the northern side. Of course, when you've got the counterclockwise spin, you're going to be pushing the water inland on the north side, and the water's going to be pulled away on the south side. But just to show you again, the elongated, sloppier side here is going to be on the northern side for Louisiana and portions of Texas. Okay, so that is a pretty good comprehensive look at what's happening with PTC number 1. Now look, friends, there's a lot more to get into here. First thing I want to do is swing over to what's happening right now with a little bit of a disturbance swinging into the east central portions of Florida. Let me bring on here a couple of other things real quick. Let me bring on that composite radar data real fast. You can see there's some fresh winds there, Brevard County, Florida. Just a little disturbance trying to sneak on shore for you right now. And again, that's not with our area that might try and develop. The area that might try and develop is back here. But there's a very low chance that this is going to develop and to become anything of any significance, to be quite honest. About a 20% chance from the Hurricane Center, so something I'm going to continue to monitor here. But there's fairly dry air to the north. We've had a few blow up of storms here, and again, this track is going to be to the north and to the west. So let me put that back on as well. This is going to be your formation area, and there's still a potential as it brushes the northwest Bahamas in the next 48 hours that we could get a disturbance out of this. But more than likely, this will just be some sloppy tropical moisture with some breezy conditions for the Bahamas, and also going to kick up the surf and sea conditions as well. But I'm not nearly as concerned with this area developing. But again, you see this other yellow area here. Sorry about that. You see this other yellow area here. That is the potential formation area over the weekend. So again, right in the same area there, you get the potential development on the heels of Tropical Storm Alberto. So let's talk about where the weather has been very active for today. And guess what, guys? It's a heck of a lot of areas. Tell you what, how about we start off with my friends in the northern side of the Leeward Islands. Pretty stormy weather here. We had a couple of flash flood watches that were in effect. They've expired, but we've had some stormy weather for places like Barbuda and Antigua for today. Nice lightning strikes there. Again, it's still area dependent, but we've had a bit more rain for today, and we get some localized heavier downpours from time to time as well. You can follow that south through Montserrat and Guadalupe on over towards Dominica there. And again, it's just been a more active day. Now we have this tropical wave coming through. This is going to be our best chance for rain, at least over the next several days, because we do have Saharan dust that's going to be surging into this area as well. So storms firing up for Martinique and Dominica, St. Lucia. We've had some rain over Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Almost everyone across the Lesser Antilles has had at least the threat for a few storms. Let me know in the comment section below if you've had some of that. And again, for Grenada, Trinidad, and Tobago as well. On over towards the ABC Islands, a little bit of moisture coming into play here. It's such good news to at least be talking about the threat for some rain for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, because, you know, feels like temperatures there have been in the 105 to 110 range Fahrenheit over the last several days. The opportunity for a few more showers in your area. On over towards Jamaica, scattered showers, thunderstorms developing at the hour. Again, this is the most active weather day I've seen of the year so far. Few storms for Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, Old Harbor, Mandeville, Maypen, out west towards Westmoreland and Hanover parishes, but mainly central and eastern sides. But look, this is going to be a scenario where we'll continue to see showers and storms moving through. There'll be some localized heavier rain. There could be some real good tropical downpours there and a fair amount of lightning. Again, you can see the live lightning count here at Meteo Mundo as well. Some of this has drifted from north to south through the Cayman Islands, Georgetown again with a few bursts of rain. It's been a very active day across Cuba. Look at all the storms developing there as well. It's been very active for our friends in Hispaniola. Storms are ramping up. Again, you can almost see this broad twist. We're on the tail end of this moisture axis that we could have that potential development here. But again, this weak tropical wave, which is kind of elongated from southwest to northeast, but look at all of the storms. Heavy, heavy rain near Port-au-Prince, Santiago de los Caballeros, Puerto Plata, Santo Domingo, Samana, Punta Cana. You live in the Dominican Republic, Haiti, let me know where it's going, but it's going gangbusters right now. Look at all of the lightning, and these storms have really flared up late on this Tuesday afternoon. Same situation, just a little bit spottier for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. We've had some pretty hefty storms on the northern coastline from Arecibo on over towards Vega Baja, Dorado, San Juan, all with some good downpours towards Isabela, as far to the west as Aguadilla as well. So decent rain, and again, this helps out as nasty hot as it's been. You know how it goes. When we don't get the storms, we're going to have those feels like temperatures well above 105, 110. Relatively dry right now for the the Turks of the Caicos. Not a lot of active weather right now in Bermuda. And then we've just got all kinds of weather going on right now across Central America. Look at the storms again developing over portions of Belize. Once again, we have our Central American gyre that is still into place. What that is a broad circulation which continues to feed all of the moisture through the Western Caribbean, the Western Gulf of Mexico, the Eastern Pacific. We've gone from a drought situation through the Yucatan and a lot of Central America to talking about the potential for flooding each and every day. Cancun has just been hammered today. I mean, really nasty storms earlier. This is a 6-hour loop. It was even worse earlier in the morning across Cancun and Cozumel. Breezy conditions as well, back down towards the Belize coastline. But again, Belize has been so dry. Now there are, again, some spots getting more rain than they could use in one day, but additional storms for Orange Walk, San Ignacio towards Belmopan, towards the coastline, Dangriga as well. And again, we continue to watch the opportunity for significant rain along the Pacific coastlines of portions of Central America, scattered showers and storms for everyone else. It's going to be a very stormy day. And as I've mentioned, not as much right now for the Bahamas, we have that one little disturbance moving into east central Florida, but it's very, very localized in nature. Now, again, for our friends out in the Lesser Antilles and even portions of the Greater Antilles a little bit later on, we're going to start to dry out because the Saharan dust is going to be coming back into play. So you can see that there. That Saharan dust is on the heels of the tropical wave, and so it's going to begin to limit our rain chances here as we get into our Wednesday. So enjoy the rain while it's out there, because unfortunately we're not going to get a lot more as we move into Wednesday and the rest of the week. Okay, time to get into the models. As we're doing so, thank you so much for liking the video. If you're not a subscriber yet to Meteo Mundo, click that subscribe button right now. You want the latest forecasts across the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and the Gulf Coast states. So bring on the GFS, going to loop this up. Let me take off a couple of things here in association with PTC1, just a little bit easier to see. So we'll first of all, of course, look what's happening on the GFS model. Look, it stays a pretty sloppy system. Obviously, the wet weather is going to be several inches of rain for Texas and Louisiana. Not too concerned about a lot of wind energy near the actual center. I'll show you the NAM model coming up as well. It's a little bit more concentrated in North Mexico, but you just get the idea. Again, here's your center, but there's some of the heaviest rain moving into places like Houston, all the way down towards Corpus Christi. Houma, Louisiana would be included in that, as far east as there. Maybe even Grand Isle picks up a good burst of rain, but you get the situation. It's sloppy. It's going to be a weak tropical storm at its maximum, and it will be moving fairly quickly off towards the west. But again, by the weekend, look at that. Again, that is not this. This is the next potential disturbance that's developing over Belize and the Yucatan and spinning up right back into the Bay of Campeche. And by the way, you can just see how wet the Western Caribbean stays in association with that. So again, a little bit broader perspective here over the next 5 days on the GFS. That moves, Alberto moves into North Mexico, and then on the heels of that, additional spin-ups are absolutely possible for us here. Extremely heavy rain for Central America, extremely heavy rain for the Yucatan, very wet weather for the Cayman Islands and Jamaica as well. Again, the GFS has been too dry in these areas, but you can see now it's wetter than it has been. So it's picking up on the eastern extent of this huge plume of tropical moisture, this Central American gyre, just keeping this entire area very, very active. Let's look at the winds real quickly as well. So I'm going to switch over to the wind gust product here, and then we'll get back over to the reflectivity. But I want to talk about the winds in this area. If I can find the wind gust, there we go. So let's loop this up. Again, what you're really looking for here are the oranges, but especially the reds, because when we get into the reds, now you're looking at 40 knots or higher on this map. And you are going to see some of that again brushing the Texas coastline tomorrow. So I think we're going to peak in the 40 to 50 knot range as we get into late Wednesday for portions of the Texas coastline. So you can see that. And again, that GFS model following the track of the hurricane center pretty well. And then by the weekend, this is the next system. Look at that pushing off of the Yucatan. Something else we have to monitor, guys. And we mentioned it's not the only game in town. There's going to be additional spin-up potential in the western portions of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the European model doesn't have an additional one in the GFS than the GFS does. The GFS does try, and we'll talk about it more, derive a little system in the central Gulf of Mexico early next week. But the active weather continues. That is simply not going to change for us here. Okay, let's get back over to the reflectivity. Loop this back up, and we'll kind of just work our way off towards the south. Again, we'll look at your rain totals coming up, and they're going to be extremely impressive. Got the island by island rain chance as well. But again, high rain chances continue for the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. We're going to start to dry out tomorrow for Hispaniola and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. It's not going to be completely dry. It will be more like isolated storms developing later in the day. Again, the Saharan dust comes in. We're taking that tropical wave and we're moving it off towards the west. Now, same scenario for the Leeward Islands where we start to dry out. The next tropical wave coming in mid to late week is going to be really impinged by all the Saharan dust. So it's not going to have the impacts that what we would typically see if the Saharan dust wasn't into play. You can see it tries to drive in a few showers towards the weekend for the Windward Islands, so Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago, and then into South America have a better chance for some heftier showers there. Not a lot of rain for the Turks and Caicos, just a few scattered showers for Bermuda. And again, even on the GFS model, guys, I mean, we're looking at again, this disturbance coming into the Bahamas, and we don't see much. We certainly kind of can pick it up here just north of Walker's Key. Let's watch it move in. I'm going to back it up. I mean, there it is right there. That would be our actual disturbance moving into then North Florida or portions of Georgia, but there's not a lot of wind associated with that. We'll get back over to the winds right now. Look at the gusts there, and I'll loop that up. So we never really get a true defined center. It's basically how it was yesterday, where we do have an absence of wind in a very broad area, but you know, there's 20, 25 knot winds north of there and not much south. So again, I would expect the surf and sea conditions to be kicked up over the Bahamas, but this is a very progressive system. It's fast moving, so it's in and out, and I think there's a very, very low likelihood that it will actually develop into anything as well. Let's go back over to the reflectivity, because before we look at the island by island rain totals, or excuse me, the chance for rain, I do want to show you the NAM model. I just want to show you kind of some of the different differences between the NAM and the GFS. I've already shown you the European model, so we'll look at the NAM model here. And again, it's just a little bit more of a twist, more of a spin here with the NAM on this. It has a little bit more concentration of storms going into North Mexico, but it's still an elongated system. The NAM is actually overall just a little bit higher impact compared to the GFS. There's just more rain. There's a little bit more wind associated with, again, PTC1. More than likely Tropical Storm Alberto. It's not a guarantee, but the official forecast from the Hurricane Center does have this, of course, becoming a tropical storm. You can see that spinning inland, and then on the heels of that, there's your next system with a lot more rain and wind coming back into the southwest Gulf. Now, again, it's a fast-moving system. That disturbance east of the Bahamas by several hundred miles. You can see that. Again, moving north of the Bahamas and then into North Florida and portions of Georgia and South Carolina. But it's moving so fast, it's so weak, it's really not going to have a lot more as far as big impacts. And for the Western Caribbean, we stay wet. And for the Eastern, we begin to dry out a bit as that Saharan dust layer moves in. So let's look at your rain chances across all of our area. Northwest Bahamas, again, rain chances will go up, but it's not more than likely going to be significant. Fast-moving showers and a few storms with the disturbance to your north. I've actually lowered the rain chance now for the central and the southeast Bahamas because it doesn't look like that system is going to be developing anything significant. Turks and Caicos, a few isolated showers. Moisture to your south will bring in a better chance for rain on Thursday. Cuba stays with some good showers and storms. Cayman Islands, again, remain fairly wet. Belize City, Cancun, and Cozumel, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, I could basically make that 100% if I wanted to. Jamaica's rain chance will be fairly high each and every day. Doesn't mean everyone, not all of our parishes, is going to be getting storms every day for our friends in Jamaica, but the opportunity is going to be there. Dominican Republic's chances will fade starting tomorrow. Same thing for Puerto Rico, U.S. and British Virgin Islands. As we get to St. John and St. Thomas and St. Croix and the Road Town area, again, rain chances falling there. Bermuda, just a few spotty showers, but you're in between systems, no big deal. Anguilla, 50% chance the remainder of today, down to a 30% chance Wednesday, Thursday. St. Eustatius, about the same scenario, even slightly drier there on Thursday. Antigua, Barbuda, 50% chance the remainder of today. A more isolated Wednesday, Thursday. And you could just see for all of this area, Dominica, Barbados, Grenada, rain chances tail off on Thursday. Trinidad and Tobago as well. Even Suriname starts to see the rain chances fade a bit. And the ABC Islands actually have an okay chance for some rain, 20 to a 30% chance. I didn't focus in on the ABCs, so for my friends in Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, I got you covered. Again, it's just nice to talk about a little bit more green on the map. Still fresh winds, fresh easterlies, 25, 30 knots in the afternoon hours could bring about, again, some fast moving showers. Now what we want to look at is how much more darn rain we could get. So this is all of the rain we could see. And again, I have some presets here. It's just a little bit easier for me to take off some of this data with PTC number 1 to take a look at some of the rainfall totals. This is the GFS model. I will show you the European model coming up. We'll start off for our friends in coastal Louisiana, where the GFS does not have a lot of rain for you. But as we get to Houston and south, and now the rainfall totals over the next 5 days begin to become more impressive. As a matter of fact, it's relatively widespread here, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain on the GFS. I mean, that is a wide swath of pretty persistent rain, and you can even see in the Northwest Gulf as well. But solid rain all the way down into North Mexico. And the interesting thing is it actually pings on higher rain because more moisture is going to be coming out of the Pacific south of the center, but that's not going to be with Alberto. That's another, again, over the next 5 days after Alberto coming in. And that's why we have all of the rain here. And that's why we have all of this rain for Cancun and Cozumel. It's unbelievable, but it's not out of the question to have more than 10 inches of rain in Cancun and Cozumel over the next 5 days. It's plausible, that's for sure. Again, you get into Belize where, and my friends who live in Belize, we can talk about this all day long, where we couldn't buy a drop of rain for months. And now we're looking at the northern side of Belize, maybe 5 to 10 more inches of rain just the next 5 days. I don't expect there to be an inch of rain in San Ignacio and 10 in Orange Walk. We'll average that out, and I'll show you the European model, but all of it is extremely impressive. Again, flooding potential for the Yucatan and all of Central America is a possibility over the next week plus with this Central American gyre and the excessive rainfall that it could bring. And again, this goes all the way down to Costa Rica and Panama as well. For our friends in the Cayman Islands and Jamaica, once again, the GFS model is lower in rain, but I believe we're going to get more than that with some of those daily rainfall totals that'll be coming in. It will begin to dry out a bit here again for portions of Hispaniola, but really between now and tomorrow, we could tack on a few more inches. And this is the scenario where it's not going to be widespread 5 inches of rain, but there could be a bullseye to get you that 3, 4, 5 inches, but on average, 1 to 2 more over the next few days. And again, most of that falls in the next 24 to 48 hours. Same thing for our friends here in Puerto Rico, Fajardo, Vieques, Aguadilla, Mayaguez, St. Thomas, St. Croix. It just becomes a little bit more spotty as far as getting more heavier rain there. And again, our friends St. Bartholomew and Ceiba, St. Eustatius, we'll pick up another inch of rain, guys. That's about a good average for us here. Dominica, Martinique. Again, nothing too prominent. Next tropical wave is off towards the south. Again, these are low latitude systems in the ITC. We haven't lifted them far enough north yet. And again, we're running into the Sahara dust, which will limit the next wave coming in late in the week. Let's take a look at some other areas here on over towards Cuba. Again, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain possible there. Don't expect a ton of rain with our fast moving system. That's really the bullseye right there, just north of Walker's Key by about 50 miles. But Nassau and Abaco and Eleuthera, spotty rain. But as I have shown you over the last week or 10 days, drier north and east, extremely wet with the flood potential west. Very hefty rainfall totals. European model plays out about the same, guys. Look at all of the red. That's 3 inches of rain or more. Really, it's 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. That's 75 to 125 millimeters. Let's talk about a couple of spots. Pacific coastline of places like El Salvador and Guatemala and Honduras, you're looking at maybe 16, 18, 20 inches of rain. It's an unbelievable amount of rain, potentially 800 millimeters or higher in some spots. Cancun and Cozumel, 8 to 10 inches of rain, even on the European model. You see those browns, that's 6, 8, close to 10 inches of rain in a couple of spots. Again, that's 250 millimeters of rain, maybe close to 300. You see all of the heavier rain for Mexico. You see all the heavier rain on the northern and western sides of the Gulf of Mexico as well. Again, in inches, it's very similar to the GFS. So, right, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain there. Not as much rain for the Bahamas. And again, those rain totals tail off, but still some localized heavier downpours for the lesser and the greater Antilles. Friends, you can follow us through all of social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, where our last video has had over 10,000 views, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Remember, in between these forecast videos, we're going to be live streaming our weather system. Go to the live tab here of the YouTube channel of Meteo Mundo. You find this thumbnail. If it becomes Tropical Storm Alberto, I'll update the thumbnail so you can follow that as well. But again, get your updated information between these forecast videos. Friends, I appreciate your support. Thank you for liking the video if you haven't done so far. Thank you for subscribing here to Meteo Mundo. You have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow.